Hi, this is Simon from Insider Divers, and this is an insider video on what to pack on your next dive trip. Now the first question is how much to pack for your dive trip? And my answer is take as much as possible. We've got 23 kilos, 30 kilos, sometimes 46 kilos of allowance, and we're just going to go diving. So take as much as you can. I get it, if you're traveling around the world and diving is just one thing that you're going to do, that's alright. Then take a mask, a computer, your rash guard, maybe a GoPro or a little camera, and that's good. But if you're going to go on a dive trip, take everything you need to make this technical sport as good as possible. So here it goes.
Let's start with luggage. First of all, you want a big suitcase, potentially one where you can put the fins in as well. But that's not all that I take. I'll be traveling with a carry-on suitcase for all my photography and a good big backpack for all the small stuff. The basics are quite normal. You just want to take your regular stuff, your BCD, your fins, your reg, your SMB, mask, booties, of course a rash guard as extra layer. With the fins, there's different options. I take different fins for every kind of trip: macro, reef, tech, or freediving. Also for wetsuits, there's big differences: 3mm for warm water, 5mm for cooler temperatures, and then 7mm for the really cold stuff. Coming to the small stuff, you always want to bring some extra layers in case it gets cold, like a hoodie and neoprene socks. You always want to have some computer and some gloves. Hang on, gloves? Yep. Take some gloves. I take these 3M gloves on all my dive trips for like wrecks or rocks or sharp stuff. It's really useful. You can fold them up and put them into your pocket for the time that you need them. You want to bring a couple of spares like a mouthpiece and a mask strap. You want to have snorkel, you want to have a torch and some backup. You want to have a pointer, you want to have a dry bag, a slate, and then this bag full of really small stuff. In here I have always a couple of spare bungees, which are useful for all kinds of things. Then of course the lifesaver in itself, cable ties. Then a few spares for my regulator, some D-rings and some extra spares like that, another mouthpiece, and of course the Mr. Leatherman, super important, useful tool for all traveling. Make sure that goes into your main luggage and not your carry-on. And then Ziploc bags, very, very useful to separate your batteries and that kind of stuff. A couple of things on the surface marker buoy SMB, you really need one of those, and get a proper one like this one. It's a long one with multiple valves and some shiny bits at the top. They look a bit bulky when you first buy them, but after using them for quite a few trips, then they get really, really small and tight, and you can take them anywhere you go and be safe while you dive. And then the pointer, super useful device to have with you. I don't think you should hold it in your hand. I personally have my pointer and this little macro pointer that I've attached there for the really small stuff. I actually don't hold them in my hand. I have them on a retractor. So this retractor you can then attach to your BCD and tuck away the pointer so that you can only take it out whenever you need it. Talking about the weaponry, you do want to have a knife somewhere mounted in the triangle of the front area so you can reach it with both hands. I have this really little small titanium knife by Aqualung that never rusts. I also have a line cutter with me, which is very useful to cut line or harnesses. So very, very cheap little item that you want to maybe attach to your BCD on an easy reachable point. Finally, it would be useful to have an audible device like a whistle on your BCD at all times. And then it is useful to have a cargo pocket that you can wear as pants or like haulers have attached to the BCD. Very useful to store stuff and to collect garbage during your dive. Coming to the clothing, I'm sure you know how much underwear and socks you need, but you should remember that you should always have some clothing that's UV protected for on the boat. You should always have some warm stuff in case it gets cold, even if it's a warm destination. You should have sun protection, and you should have a warm beanie and a rain jacket. You never know what's going to happen. Don't forget your Insider Diver shirt, of course, as well. To pack my clothing, I have this trick. I buy these big Ziploc bags which last forever. They have a little valve and they keep stuff dry. So here I put all of my clothing in. Sometimes I use 2 bags, sometimes I use 3 bags. And the advantage is that you can make it really small, press the air out, make it even smaller, and then you can put it into your suitcase together with your wet dive stuff, and you still have dry clothing when you arrive on the next destination. For travel day, I pack quite a lot of stuff in my little backpack. Of course, I have a reusable water bottle for my travels, so we don't need to use plastic. And then I have a lot of other stuff in here. My noise cancelling headphones, my med bag, my sleeping accessories, a little pouch with useful little computer accessories that I can use for long layovers. Then I always have a heavy bag of camera stuff like these power adapters and my drone that always takes some extra weight. Of course, I also carry my laptop. I can never go anywhere without my laptop and my passport. All of this together without the water bottle being filled, we have already cheated ourselves 2 extra kilos on top of the normal carry-on.
This next section is about what to pack if you're a photographer. Obviously, I pack a lot of stuff. I do a lot of photography, but I think it serves as a great orientation for you when you pack for your next dive trip.
There's a lot of stuff we need for photography, and all of that goes into this tiny little suitcase. Now, what is in here? There's a lot of stuff. There's a dome and a backup dome, there's a hard disk, some other little bits and bobs, my computers I always have in my carry-on as well. And then of course I take various lenses. I may take up to 5 lenses on each trip depending on what we're doing. And then here's video lights that we take, for video, but also for black water dives. Always good to have a couple of lights with me. And then there's other torches that I usually carry them in my carry-on as well. They're heavy and they're fragile. Now what is this? My favorite way of storing stuff are these business class pouches, and Cathay ones are the best. This is my battery pouch, and you can see that all my batteries are individually wrapped in Ziploc bags, which allows them to not discharge each other and easier to store. It's easier to know which ones are full. I also mark them all with my initials and the year that I started using them. That tells you when they're going to die. Now if you look at my batteries, here's another trick. These white looking batteries are called LADAs, and the LADA is a secret little trick that somebody found out, which are very cheap. You can buy them at IKEA. They have the same power as other Pro batteries. Then I have, of course, always my strobes with me, plus 1 spare strobe. And then there's a lot of little stuff, clamps. You want to have some extra clamps and some extra attachments. Then I have some macro setups, single flips, double flips, all that kind of good stuff. A snoot and my camera. How heavy is that? Well, this is the trick. I put all this stuff in this small black carry-on suitcase and sneak 23 kilos through the airlines, and I've never had to pay anything for it. You just say it's camera gear and you show them that you've gotten through in carry-on several other trips, so you leave those things attached and you will get through all the time.
So that was it. I hope this was useful to you. Mind you, that is what I take on a dive trip. That may be different for you. If you have any questions, contact me on Facebook, WhatsApp, or via my website, www.insiderdivers.com, and I can exchange with you even more.